The dining room at my parents' house had never been so quiet. 58 relatives frozen mid-bite, forks suspended in air, as my 9-year-old daughter, Grace's voice cut through the celebration like a blade through silk. Uncle Rick touched me in the bad place. The words hung there, suspended in the summer air between the potato salad and the apple pie. My mother's champagne glass slipped from her fingers and shattered against the hardwood floor, sending bubbles and crystal shards across her designer shoes. Rick's face drained of color so fast I thought he might faint right there at the head table, his burger dropping from his hand onto his plate with a wet thud. I watched it all happen in slow motion, my sister Nina's mouth opening and closing like a fish, gasping for air. My father Robert freezing with his wine glass halfway to his lips, Aunt Carol dropping her napkin as she half stood from her chair. Cousins, uncles, aunts, grandparents, all turning to stare at my little girl who stood there in her yellow sundress with daisies on it, the one she'd picked out specially for today. Grace's small hand trembled in mine, but her voice had been clear, crystal clear, the kind of clarity that comes when a child has practiced saying something over and over in their head, waiting for the right moment, gathering courage like armor. "Mommy said I should tell the truth," Grace continued, her chin lifting just a fraction. "And the truth is, Uncle Rick hurt me." The silence stretched tighter, a rubber band about to snap. I could feel 58 pairs of eyes shifting between Grace, Rick, and me. Some filled with shock, some with disbelief, some already calculating which side they would take when this family exploded into pieces. My mother was the first to recover, her voice sharp as the glass shards at her feet. "Grace, sweetheart, this is an appropriate dinner conversation. Maya, take your daughter inside." That's when I knew. That's when I understood with perfect, terrible clarity that my mother would choose the family's reputation over her granddaughter's truth, just like she always had, just like she always would. But not today, not anymore. I stood up slowly, my phone heavy in my pocket. The recording I'd made just 2 hours ago burned against my hip like a brand. Rick's voice captured digitally, threatening my baby girl, thinking he was safe in his power and privilege. "No, Mom," I said, my voice carrying across all 8 tables we'd set up in the backyard for this perfect family reunion. "We're not going inside. We're not being quiet. And we're definitely not pretending this didn't happen." Rick finally found his voice, forced laugh bubbling up from his throat. "Maya, come on. Kids say all kinds of things. Grace is obviously confused. Maybe she had a bad dream or watched something inappropriate on TV." "I'm not confused," Grace said, louder this time. Her favorite butterfly clips caught the light as she turned to face him directly. "You said if I told anyone, no one would believe me. You said I'd get in trouble. But Mommy said telling the truth is never wrong." My husband James moved to stand beside us, his hand finding my shoulder. United front. Tyler, our 12-year-old son, pushed back his chair with a screech that made everyone flinch. "Is that why Grace has been having nightmares?" Tyler asked, his voice cracking with the early stages of puberty and rage. "Is that why she cries when we drive past your house?" Nina stood up so fast her chair tipped backward. "Stop this right now! How dare you make these accusations? Rick is a good man. He coaches Little League. He volunteers at church. He would never—" "He did," I said simply, "and I can prove it." That's when I pulled out my phone. That's when I showed them all that I wasn't just a mother believing her child. I was a mother who had caught a predator, in his own words. The late afternoon sun beat down on us, making the pool water sparkle mockingly in the background. The party decorations my mother had spent weeks perfecting swayed in the breeze. The Brooks family reunion 2024 banner stretched across the patio seemed to mock us all. This was supposed to be a day of celebration, of family, of connection. Instead, it became the day Grace's truth destroyed every carefully constructed lie this family had built their foundation on. And I knew as I looked at Rick's panicked face and my mother's fury and Nina's desperate denial that I was about to play a recording that would shatter this family forever. Good. Some things deserve to be broken. The annual Brooks family reunion was supposed to be perfect. 3 generations gathered at my parents' sprawling Connecticut home, where the manicured lawn stretched down to a kidney-shaped pool that sparkled like a jewel in the July heat. I'd arrived early that morning, my SUV packed with coolers and covered dishes, Grace bouncing excitedly in the back seat while Tyler scrolled through his phone with practiced teenage indifference. "Remember, we're staying until the fireworks tonight," I told them as James helped me unload, "so pace yourselves with the desserts." "Can I swim first thing?" Grace asked, already pulling at her seatbelt. "Emma said her mom got her a new mermaid tail." "After we help Grandma set up," I said, smoothing down her dark hair. She'd insisted on wearing her favorite butterfly clips, the ones that caught the light when she moved. 2 months ago, she would have been chattering nonstop about seeing her cousins. Today, she'd been quiet during the drive, only perking up when I assured her she could stay near me all day. My mother, Helen, emerged from the house in her signature style: white linen pants, a coral blouse, and jewelry that cost more than most people's cars. "Maya, darling, you're late. The tables need their cloths, and your father's already started drinking beer instead of helping." "It's 9:30, Mom. The invitation said noon." "Family helps with setup," she said, that particular tone that meant discussion was over. "Nina and Rick have been here since 8. My stomach tightened at Rick's name. I forced myself to breathe normally, to not let my face show what I'd been carrying for the past 2 months, the knowledge that sat like stones in my chest. The backyard transformation was already underway. 8 round tables dotted the lawn, waiting for the white tablecloths I'd apparently failed to arrive early enough to place. The catering tent stood near the pool house, and Robert, my father, was indeed stationed at the outdoor bar he'd built last summer, testing the beer tap with the dedication of a quality control expert. "Maya!" Nina rushed over, her blonde hair perfect despite the humidity. "Can you believe we pulled this off? 58 confirmed guests? Remember when it was just 12 of us at Mom's dining table?" I hugged my sister, trying not to stiffen when I saw Rick following behind her. He looked exactly like everyone's favorite uncle should. Polo shirt, khaki shorts, that easy smile that made him everyone's buddy. Coach Rick. Volunteer Rick. The guy who remembered everyone's birthdays and told the best jokes at family dinners. "Grace." He reached out for a hug, and I watched my daughter step behind my leg. "What, no hug for Uncle Rick? I brought those chocolate chip cookies you love from that bakery downtown." "She's shy this morning," I said, keeping my voice light while my hand found Grace's shoulder. "You know how kids are." Rick's eyes met mine for just a moment. Something flickered there, gone before anyone else would notice. But I saw it, the calculation, the assessment, the question of whether I knew. "Let her warm up," Nina laughed, oblivious. "She'll be begging you to throw her in the pool by lunch. Rick's been practicing his airplane tosses with Emma all week." The rest of the morning blurred together in a parade of arriving relatives. Aunts bearing casseroles, uncles arguing about football, cousins shrieking as they rediscovered each other. I threw myself into the setup, arranging centerpieces, directing teenagers to help with chairs, keeping Grace within eyesight at all times. "You're hovering," James murmured as he passed me with another cooler. "She's fine. Look, she's playing with Emma and Sophia." But I'd noticed things James hadn't. How Grace had changed after that weekend at Nina's. The nightmares that made her crawl into our bed at 3 a.m. The way she'd started locking the bathroom door. The sudden fear of sleepovers. The questions about whether grown-ups could be bad even if everyone said they were good. By noon, the reunion was in full swing. The pool churned with kids. The adults clustered in their usual groups. The men by the grill, the women by the drinks, the teenagers sulking near the pool house. Everything looked perfect. Magazine perfect. Facebook perfect. The kind of scene my mother would frame and hang in her hallway with the 40 other years of reunion photos. If only they knew what was coming. The reunion was in full swing when I noticed Grace wasn't with the other kids. The pool games had gotten louder, more chaotic, with Rick throwing squealing children into the deep end while parents laughed and clapped. I'd been refilling the lemonade pitcher, making small talk with Aunt Carol about her recent hip surgery, when that mother's instinct kicked in, that sudden awareness that your child isn't where they should be. I scanned the yard. Tyler was with the older cousins by the basketball hoop. Emma and Sophia were practicing handstands in the shallow end, but no Grace. "Excuse me," I said to Carol, already moving. I checked the house first, calling her name through the kitchen and living room. The bathroom was empty. Her overnight bag sat untouched in Nina's old bedroom where we were supposed to sleep tonight. I found her behind the pool house, wedged between the wall and an old kayak, knees drawn to her chest. Tears had made clean tracks through the sunscreen on her cheeks. "Baby, what's wrong?" I knelt in the grass beside her, my sundress immediately soaking up the moisture from the sprinkler system. "I don't want to go inside. Uncle Rick is there." The world tilted. My heart hammered so hard I was sure she could hear it, but I kept my voice steady, gentle. "Why don't you want to see Uncle Rick?" She whispered into her knees, words muffled by her arms. I had to lean closer to hear. "He touches me in my private parts, where you said no one should touch." Every protective instinct in my body screamed. I wanted to roar, to rage, to find Rick right then and storm across the lawn. Instead, I pulled her into my arms, feeling her small body shake against mine. "When did this happen, Grace?" "When I stayed at Aunt Nina's, and before. At Christmas when you were cooking, at Easter when we did the egg hunt." Each word was a knife. Each sentence a revelation of my failures. All those times I'd thought she was safe because she was with family. He said it was our special secret. He said if I told anyone, they'd be mad at me. He said no one would believe me because he's a grown-up, and I'm just a kid. He said you'd be disappointed in me. I held her tighter, my own tears falling into her hair. "Listen to me, Grace. I believe you. I will always believe you. And I could never, ever be disappointed in you for telling the truth. You're so brave, baby. So brave. Are you going to make him stop?" "Yes," I promised, already formulating a plan. "I'm going to make sure he never hurts you or anyone else again." I sent Grace to stay with Tyler, telling him to keep her close and find me immediately if Rick came near them. Then I became a hunter. I watched Rick work the crowd, playing the perfect uncle, tossing kids in the pool, helping my father with the grill, making my mother laugh at some stupid joke about her potato salad recipe. 2 hours passed. I smiled. I mingled. I played the part of the happy daughter while my insides churned with fury and fear. No proof. It would be Grace's word against his, and I knew exactly how that would go in this family that valued appearance over everything. Then I saw him notice Grace sitting alone while Tyler got hot dogs. Saw him start moving in her direction with that casual walk that fooled everyone. Grace saw him too, shrinking back against her chair. I moved faster, phone already recording in my hand as I slipped through the side door of the house. I could hear them in the kitchen. "Hey there, butterfly." Rick's voice was soft, so different from his public persona. "You've been avoiding Uncle Rick. You didn't tell anyone our secret, did you?" "Please don't." Grace's voice was so small, so scared. "Remember what I said? No one believes little girls who tell stories. Your mom would be so disappointed in you. Your dad would be so angry. You don't want to break up the family, do you?" "That's enough." I stepped into the kitchen, phone visible, making sure he could see the recording screen. "Get away from my daughter, now." His face went through a series of transformations. Surprise, fear, then forced casualness. "Maya, you're misunderstanding what you heard. I was just talking to Grace about keeping her birthday surprise party secret." "Her birthday was 3 months ago." "I meant Christmas. Christmas surprises." "It's July, Rick." Grace ran to me, burying her face in my dress. I kept the phone steady, still recording as Rick's mask slipped further. "You need to stop recording me right now," he said, voice harder. "This is illegal. I'll sue you for defamation." "Try it," I said. "I understand perfectly what's been happening, and now I have proof." I stood in my parents' bathroom, gripping the marble countertops so hard my knuckles went white. The phone recording played on repeat in my mind. Rick's predatory voice, Grace's terrified whisper, the sound of my family laughing outside, oblivious to the bomb I was holding. James found me there, staring at my reflection. A woman I didn't recognize stared back. Hollow eyes, clenched jaw, hands that wouldn't stop shaking. "Maya, what happened? Tyler said you told him to watch Grace and you looked ready to kill someone." I handed him my phone. "Put in the earbuds. Listen." I watched his face transform as he heard the recording. Confusion melted into understanding, then horror, then a rage so pure it made him slam his fist against the wall, leaving a dent in my mother's perfect powder room. "I'm calling the police," he said, already reaching for his phone. "Right now, that bastard is going to jail." "Wait," I grabbed his wrist. "Think about what happens next. Police show up at a family reunion. They take statements while everyone watches. Grace has to tell her story to strangers while Rick's sitting right there. The family gossips. They take sides. Some believe her, some don't. It drags through court for years while Rick walks free on bail. So what do you want to do?" I looked at myself in the mirror again, thought about my mother's favorite saying, "We don't air our dirty laundry in public." Thought about all the secrets this family had buried over the years. Uncle Ted's drinking problem, Cousin Marie's affairs, the way everyone pretended Grandpa Joe hadn't left Grandma for his secretary. "I want them to know," I said. "All of them. Right now. Today. I want them to hear it from Grace, then hear the proof. I want them to choose their side with full knowledge of what they're choosing." "Maya, think about what you're saying. You want to do this in front of everyone? The kids?" "The kids are already in danger. Every family gathering, every sleepover, every time someone leaves their daughter alone with him thinking she's safe because he's family." I pulled up the Bluetooth settings on my phone, connecting to the speaker system my father had installed throughout the house and patio. My mother always protected the family image above everything else. Today, she gets to choose between that image and her granddaughter. James studied my face. "This will destroy your relationship with half the family, maybe more." "Then those aren't relationships worth having." "What about Nina? She's your sister." "She's also Rick's enabler. How many times did she leave Grace alone with him? How many other kids?" My voice cracked. If she chooses him after hearing this, then I've already lost my sister. We walked back outside together. The party had reached its peak. Kids splashing in the pool, adults getting louder as the drinks flowed, my mother holding court at the main table, regaling everyone with stories about her latest cruise. I found Grace at the kids' table, Tyler protectively beside her. She was pushing mac and cheese around her plate, not eating. "Baby," I knelt beside her chair. "Remember what we talked about? About telling the truth?" She nodded. "I need you to be brave one more time. Can you tell everyone what you told me? I'll be right here. Daddy will be right here. And then everyone will know the truth." "Will Uncle Rick get in trouble?" "Yes, the right kind of trouble. The kind that keeps little girls safe." She looked at me with those trusting eyes. My warrior in a butterfly clip. "Okay, Mommy." I stood up, clinking a spoon against my glass, the universal sound for attention at family gatherings. Conversations gradually died down. "Can I have everyone's attention?" My voice carried across the yard, steady despite the storm inside me. "Grace has something she needs to say." Rick looked up from the grill, spatula in hand. Nina turned from her conversation with our cousins. My mother set down her wine glass with precise movements. "This better be important, Maya," she said. "We're about to serve dinner." "It is," I said, lifting Grace onto her chair so everyone could see her. James stood on her other side, Tyler behind us. "It's the most important thing anyone will say today." The yard fell silent except for the pool filter humming in the background. 58 faces turned toward us, some curious, some annoyed at the interruption, some already sensing that something was very wrong. I squeezed Grace's hand. "Go ahead, baby. Tell them your truth." Grace stood on her chair, her small frame trembling, but her voice carrying clear across the yard. "Uncle Rick touched me in my private parts. He said no one would believe me." The silence was absolute. A bird landed on the pool fence, chirped once, and flew away. Someone's beer bottle slipped, rolling across the concrete with a hollow sound that seemed to echo forever. My mother was the first to speak, her voice slicing through the shock with practiced authority. "Grace, sit down. We don't bring up things like that here. This is neither the time nor the place for such talk. Maya, take your daughter inside immediately." "You're right, Mom," I said, pulling out my phone. "We don't bring that up. We bury it. We protect the family image above everything else. We sacrifice our children on the altar of reputation. Well, listen to this. I hit play. The speakers around the yard came alive with Rick's voice, crystal clear through the sound system. Remember what I said? No one believes little girls who tell stories. Your mom would be so disappointed in you. Turn that off, Nina screamed, launching herself at me. Her perfectly manicured nails scraped my arm as she tried to grab my phone. Turn it off right now. James stepped between us, his solid frame blocking her. The recording continued, Rick's threats filling the space between the pool and the tables, wrapping around every relative like a poisonous fog. That's edited, Rick shouted, his face purple with rage or fear. That's taken completely out of context. I was talking about keeping a surprise party secret. What context? Aunt Carol stood up slowly, her voice deadly quiet. What possible context makes it okay to tell a child no one will believe them? Mom, Dad, you need to make her stop, Nina pleaded, mascara running down her cheeks. She's destroying our family. She's humiliating us. Think about what people will say. No, I said, my voice steady even as relatives began standing, choosing sides with their feet. He destroyed our family. You're just mad I'm exposing it. The eruption was instant. Chairs scraped back, voices rose. My cousin Linda grabbed her 3 daughters and headed for the gate without a word. Uncle Paul and Aunt Diane followed, Diane shooting me a look of pure disgust as she passed. How dare you, someone shouted. At a family gathering? With children present? Another voice added. But other voices rose too. Oh my God, that poor baby. I knew something was off about him. How long has this been going on? My mother stood, her white outfit pristine, her dignity intact despite the chaos. You knew? Aunt Carol's voice cut through the noise. Helen, you said we don't bring that up here, like you already knew? My mother's chin lifted. I suspected. There were signs, but without proof. What was I supposed to do? Destroy my daughter's marriage? Ruin a man's reputation? Your granddaughter, Helen. Carol's voice shook with fury. You chose reputation over your granddaughter. Nina was sobbing, clinging to Rick's arm. You're lying. This is all lies. Rick would never. Grace is confused. She's making things up for attention. I have more recordings, I said quietly, but the words carried. From Christmas, from Easter. Every time you left her alone with him, Nina. Every time you told me I was being overprotective when I wanted to stay with her. The family split like a fault line in an earthquake. Some surrounded Nina and Rick, forming a protective wall of denial. My father stood with them, his face a mask of confusion and anger. Others moved toward us, toward Grace, who stood frozen on her chair as her world exploded around her. She's telling the truth, a small voice said. Cousin Emma, 11 years old, Nina's neighbor. Uncle Rick does bad things. He told me not to tell too. Nina's scream was primal. She lunged at Emma's mother. How dare you let your child lie like this? You're all in on it. You're all trying to destroy us. I'm calling the police, Aunt Carol announced, phone already in her hand. Right now. This ends today. If you do that, my mother's voice rang with authority, you are no longer welcome in this family. None of you who perpetuate this lie are welcome. Then I guess I'm not welcome, Carol replied, hitting the call button. Because I choose to believe children over predators. Rick tried to run, actually tried to bolt for the side gate. James and 2 of my cousins blocked his path. You're not going anywhere, James said, his voice low and dangerous. You're going to wait right here for the police. This is false imprisonment, Rick shouted. I'll sue all of you. You have no right. Grace climbed down from her chair and walked to me, her small hand finding mine. Around us, the perfect family reunion shattered into pieces, tables overturned, relatives shouting, children crying. My mother standing in the middle of it all like a general watching her army desert. 23 relatives left before the police arrived. The rest stayed, some to support us, others to support Rick and Nina, most simply too shocked to move. The pool filter kept humming. The party banner fluttered in the evening breeze. And somewhere in the chaos, Grace looked up at me and asked, Did I do good, Mommy? "You did perfect, baby. You told the truth. That's all we ever needed." The investigation took 4 months. Rick was arrested that night as the sun set over my parents' perfect Connecticut lawn, handcuffed next to the pool where he'd thrown children just hours earlier. He posted bail the next morning, of course. Men like Rick always have money for good lawyers. But something powerful happened after that reunion. Emma's courage in speaking up gave others permission to do the same. Within 2 weeks, 3 more cousins came forward. Girls who'd been carrying their secrets for years, finally able to speak because Grace had spoken first. The family split completely down the middle. We lost 23 relatives who chose silence and reputation over justice. My parents sent a certified letter stating that James, Tyler, Grace, and I were no longer welcome at family functions. They chose their image over their granddaughter's safety, and that's a burden they'll carry forever. Nina filed for divorce after the 4th victim came forward. She showed up at our door one night, hollow-eyed and broken, apologizing through sobs that seemed to come from her soul. "I should have seen it," she kept saying. "I should have protected her." We're working on forgiveness. Not for Rick, never for him, but for Nina. She's in therapy now, grappling with how she missed the signs, how she enabled a predator. Grace isn't ready to be around her yet, and that's okay. Healing happens on its own timeline. The trial lasted 2 weeks. 14 family members sat on our side of the courtroom every single day. The other side was empty, except for my parents, sitting stiffly in their coordinated outfits, still more concerned about what the neighbors might think than what their granddaughter had endured. Rick got 12 years, not enough, but more than many victims ever see. When they led him away in shackles, Grace squeezed my hand and whispered, "He can't hurt anyone now, right, Mommy?" "Not for a very long time, baby." 6 months later, we held our own family gathering. Not a reunion, but a rebirth. Just the relatives who'd stood with truth over comfort. Aunt Carol organized it at her house, with therapists available for any child who wanted to talk, and a celebration of courage rather than a burial of secrets. "Was I brave, Mommy?" Grace asked that day, playing in Carol's pool with her cousins, laughing again for the first time in months. "The bravest," I told her. "You broke a chain of silence that probably went back generations. You saved your cousins. You saved children you'll never even meet." My mother still sends Christmas cards, pristine photos of her and my father at various charity events, still playing the part of the perfect couple. We don't respond. She made her choice that day at the reunion, picking reputation over protection, image over innocence. Sometimes protecting your child means burning down the village that would shelter their abuser. Sometimes love looks like destruction before it looks like healing. That reunion was the last time the Brooks family gathered as one unit, but it was the first time we truly protected our children. Grace is thriving now. She's in therapy, learning that her voice matters, that her truth has power, that speaking up was the bravest thing she could have done. She knows we'll always believe her, always protect her, always choose her over anyone's comfort or reputation. And in our new, smaller, truer family gatherings, no one ever says, "We don't bring that up here." Because bringing it up, speaking truth into comfortable silence, refusing to let predators hide behind family loyalty and false smiles, that's exactly what love looks like. Some families are bound by blood. Others are bound by courage. We learned that day that the second kind is infinitely stronger than the first. The Brooks family reunion tradition died that day in July, but from its ashes rose something better. A family that protects its children, believes its victims, and chooses hard truths over comfortable lies. And that's a legacy worth passing down. Thank you for watching this story. If it resonated with you, if it reminded you that speaking up matters, that believing children is crucial, please share this video, leave a comment about the importance of breaking silence, and subscribe to our channel for more stories about courage, truth, and the real meaning of family. Remember, your voice matters, and someone needs to hear your truth today.